What is going on, peddlers? We're all over the shop this morning. This is absolute chaos. Is it 2023 or are we back in 2005? Because I'm not sure. Guys, what's going on? 11 of you watching concurrently, do me a favour and smash the like, por favor. This is absolute chaos. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I am and I don't even know what my name is. This is just bonkers. I don't even... Tyres, chaos, Indianapolis 2005, Michelin versus Pirelli. That's where we are. Here's what's happened. This is just bonkers. Oh no, it's too much chaos and I'm all over the shop. Go on then. Let's get back to basics here. Here's what's happened, peddlers. And I did prepare some slides, but apparently those slides have gone amok because this is breaking news and it's absolute chaos. Here we go. Here's what's happened, peddlers. And I'm not all over the shop that much. I've got a couple of slides that we can go through. Chris Medland, the trusted, goated F1 journalist, that is, has said there is an issue. What the guys or what Pirelli have experienced on the back of it. So every time they do a session, let me get rid of this first, and then we can talk, and then we'll go 25 minutes or less, and then we're going to watch some shootout qualifying. I mean, what's going on, Matthew, Alex, Chad, Henron? I hope you're a good Frank. This is chaos, isn't it? What's going on, peddlers? Here's what's going on. We have an issue with these tyres. Post every single session, Pirelli will take the tyres and they will review them for any sort of delamination or separation, because those things can be potentially dangerous in real time. If they happen in real time, you get a Max Verstappen at Baku or Indianapolis. I remember somebody crashed at Toyota. This is dangerous stuff, right? And these guys will need to fix for it, whether that's temperature-wise or running less laps or potentially track amendments, and that's exactly what's happening here. So on the back of their inspections, on the back of yesterday's sessions, they've realised that Houston, we have a problem, and that problem pertains to separation, and separation in real time, if not addressed preemptively, is potentially dangerous. Here's what Chris Medland says. This issue has been caused by the high-frequency interference between sidewalls and 50mm pyramid curbs used extensively at this circuit, aggravated by the propensity to ride those curbs. So hold on. This is what we're saying here. Let me just clarify this as we ingest this in real time collectively. Qatar have done lots of work between the last time that we went around there and now. Qatar have done lots of work as far as resurfacing, recurbing, etc. You mean to tell me that this was all fairy dust? That nobody went out and tested this, whether there were going to be ramifications for having these brand new, sexy, elevated curbs? What, you mean to tell me that FIA, you didn't realise, you hadn't forecast for this? Is that what we're saying? What's going on, Big Bear? This is bonkers. As if it wasn't traumatic enough post the session yesterday when we didn't know what had happened, whether Piastri in second? Was Lando in second? Well, Piastri was in third and then he got demoted to sixth because Lewis was third and there was track infringements. It just feels a bit freestyly. Feels a bit Eminem, Mate Miley, right? The FIA, the regulatory body of F1, are just kind of making this up as they go along. You know, I was going to get the video in of Naomi telling Oscar, well, great stuff, Oscar, fantastic qualifying. Oh, hold on. I'm just hearing that you've been demoted, Oscar, to 6th place now. Where's Lando? I don't know. He might have been demoted. There could have been some sort of tracking for it. It just feels like... Suzuka last year. Is Max Verstappen the champion? No, Max, you are the champion. I've just heard it through. So Max is like, what? Like, why are we doing this? But it's just brings the game / sport into disrepute each and every single time. And this one again is dangerous. It is dangerous, this. So they need to address it preemptively. Let me get back to this Chris Medland, the legend that is. The issue is a separation of sidewall between the topping compound and the carcass cords on many of the tyres that were checked. Oh, so it's more than one. This is a serious issue. Pirelli and the FIA will carry out extensive research and simulations in order to establish with complete confidence the reasons behind this issue and to work on solutions to avoid this in future. Here's the problem, peddlers. Surely, if we can use our common sense, listen, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, we've got a race today. We've got a sprint shootout qualifying in about 20 minutes. We've got a race tomorrow and a sprint qualifying race later on this afternoon. What are you? Bonkers. So here's what they posit. Here's a solution. They say what's going on. Well, this is Chad. Absolute chaos. Vicos, chaos. Unbelievable. Go on then. Here's their solution. A proposed solution. Very hodgepodge, lastminute.com. Not befitting nor commensurate of the regulatory body of one of the greatest sports, the greatest motorsport formula in the world. But I digress. Here's their supposition. Their panacea. Track limits at turn 12 and 13 will be revised. Here's what I'm talking about. 12 and 13, 12, 13, 14 is the bloody... not enjoy that sequence, but again, if we're going to raise the bloody curve, let's make sure these guys can race around them surely. Bloody Norris. Here we go. Quick synopsis, because we've got a sprint shootout to watch, hopefully, in the next 20 minutes. Who knows what the schedule is? Well, it might be this, it might be that. Track limits at turn 12 and turn 13 to be revised, potentially going to take them out. I've seen anywhere between 50 millimetres again, so that these guys aren't pushing their tyres to the absolute limits somewhat dangerously. So Pirelli say, after the fact, not preemptively, having done all their due diligence. I think this raises questions about Pirelli, and I know the tyre provider exclusively for F1 going forward is going to be a concern. They're having a bidding war, right? Procurement is in progress. Listen, if this doesn't put Bridgestone in pole position, I'm sorry. This is US Grand Prix Indianapolis 2005 all over again. What are we going to have, half the runners it's just nonsense, man. Anyway, here we go. There'll be a 10-minute practice session. Practice familiarisation session, of course, FIA. Yeah. Scheduled to start 1600 hours local time, following the revision to the track limits to allow drivers to adjust to the changes. Sprint shootout then will therefore start 20 minutes later than scheduled, 16-20 hours local time. What do we do? Is this what time it is? These guys, right, look. Car setup was done under a strict set of circumstances, under one set of assumptions. Similarly, yesterday, qualifying for the race, the same set of assumptions as far as the track layout, and now we're going to go and revise it. Okay, so it is dangerous and they need to do something, but surely front load this. This is what you do months in advance, not the day before we do a race. What do we... FIA, man, this just isn't good enough, is it? Qatar is what Jeddah wishes it could be. Oh, people aren't too hot on Qatar, are they? Well, chaos. Number 3. Extensive tyre analysis. Yeah, of course. How extensive can it be? Pirelli and FIA? Go on, I'm just curious. How long do you have? 24 hours? 48 hours? Less than that? How extensive is your analysis going to be in real time with real world evidence? I don't know. What's going on, Sylvia? Gentile. This is daft. I'm just PTSD settings, USA, Indianapolis 2005. That's what this is giving me. Extensive tyre analysis. What do you mean? What do you mean? You've got 24 hours. If you're talking about analyse the outcomes of this latest practice session, then what do you mean? In the event the problem is still evident, we will be issuing the following directive for Sunday's Grand Prix on safety grounds. Here we go. This is the meat and potatoes of the thing. The tyre life parameters must not exceed 20 for new tyres used in the race. This number would rise to 22 for any used tyres fit in the race to account for in and out laps in qualifying. All right, so we're mandating strategies here with tyres. They're concerned, aren't they? This is bloody dangerous. This is... Yeah. I can't believe we're here, peddlers. That's so dangerous is this. Why haven't they done this before? Why haven't they done this before? Again, I spoke on one of Baxty Spaces with Coconut last night. this is I just keep feeling all too often it feels like F1 is okay, so it's the greatest motorsport in the world, one of the greatest, if not the greatest sport in absolute terms in the world. But I just feel like, you know, when you've rocked up to a meeting and nobody else is prepared. Oh, Cameron, can you chair this meeting and take the minutes and walk us through the potential outcomes and the takeaways? Can you just do everything here? Because I haven't had time to even look at the. It just feels like that each and every single time. It's hodgepodge. Absolute hodgepodge. Well, that's the point, man. If Bridgestone aren't favourites on the back of this ramshackle, these shenanigans, I'm like, well, what are you doing? Nonsense. All drivers will be obliged to perform at least 3 tyre changes. There we go. So I think that those last 2 points are dependent on the findings of their extensive analysis on the back of this sprint qualifying session or the practice session. The 20 minutes worth, by the way. 20 minutes isn't going to give you, it's not a big enough sample size. What are we doing? What are we doing, F1? They never fail to deliver on the disappointment scale, do they? They always succeed when it comes to seizing defeat from the jaws of victory, does F1. Here we are again. Hello, darkness, my old friend, right? Like, it's just, this feels very hodgepodge and it feels dangerous and it just feels, I think it's 2005, Macon. I checked it before just to make sure. I feel like it is 2005, Indianapolis. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's daft. Quick look at the turns. You can see the turns. I mean, any fool can see. It's going to be that front left, right? The front left and the rear left is where the push is going to come from. And it is. All the turns around here are right and quick. A la Silverstone, Spa. I get it. It just perturbs me that they're going to see this. Like, it feels very lastminute.com, and I don't think that's fair. It's not fair on us. It's not fair on the drivers. It's just not fair. It's not befitting of one of the greatest sports in the world, is it? That the rules and regulations, that the goalposts keep just moving. These guys have done a setup based upon. I wonder even what is it still Parc Fermé now? What, we're moving the track in real time under Parc Fermé regulation. That doesn't sound. That's not fair. That's not fair. Yeah. Go on then. Here's the concern. Let's look at Max Verstappen because he's got some of them. He's got probably the most available, right? So if they're doing 3 pit stops, right? Let's remember for this sprint shootout qualifying, they've got to use for each session, and there's 3 sessions like a normal qualifying session. But they've got to use 3 sets of tyres, right? So that we use a brand new set of mediums that we need for the second session for Q2 or SQ2 or whatever they're calling it. Then we use another brand new set of mediums, and then we use another brand new set of softs. So let's look at Mr. Verstappen, where that leaves him. And remember, we've talked about potentially 3 stopping tomorrow. So that's a lot of tyres, eh? Go on then. So so Max Verstappen has a new set of hards. He's got 4 new mediums to use, and he's got 1 new set of stuff and 5 used. He's got, I think, of those on the grid, he's probably got the most available to him because they do use during Q1. They've got some speed in hand out. All right, then, so where does that leave him? So he uses the 2 mediums in SQ1 and SQ2. That leaves him with 2 mediums and 1 new soft. And then he'll put the new soft on for SQ3, right? So that leaves him then with 1 hard for the race. For the race, Max Verstappen with the most tyres available to him, unless they amend something with this and start bringing new tyres from Italy for tomorrow. So that leaves Max Verstappen, the dude on the grid currently who has the most tyres available, for the race tomorrow. 1 new hard, 2 mediums, and 5 used soft. He's barely getting through. What, 3 stopping? What? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so sack off the softs. So they're most likely going to be doing medium, hard, right? But he's just barely got 3 tyres. I don't know. How are these guys going to work that only have... I don't know. Let's take a look at Lewis. So, all right, so Lewis is going to use... All right, Lewis has got a set of hards, 3 sets of mediums, and one soft available. He uses 2 mediums and a soft. So, all right, so for the race tomorrow, Lewis Hamilton, these are the tyres that will be available to him after the sprint qualifying shootout, per the mandated rules of the FIA. He'll have one set of hard, new set, one set of medium, new set, and 5 used softs. And we're saying that this track is potentially dangerous. So taxing is it of these tyres, so precarious are the new curbs. I mean, logistically, it's not going to work, is it? The maths doesn't math. A techie guy, listen, I don't know what's going to happen here. They're going to have to do so. They are going to have to amend the track. Logistically, Pirelli, it takes time to prep these bloody high spec diva tyres, right? And it definitely takes time logistically to bring them into LaSalle track. Like, it's not going to be. Can't expect them in 48 hours to bring all these needs. I don't think that's going to happen. Hence why they've done the rules of first principle. The only solve is for them to go in and bloody put some paint on the track to make sure, to amend track limits to make sure that these guys aren't using the curbs excessively, because that's what's causing the problem. I just don't know. Bonkers. Pirelli says, well, oh gosh, that is a joke. It is a joke. They have, it's a reputational hazard as well. I think the point with Pirelli, I'll talk to the Bridgestone thing in a second. The point with Pirelli is that they're meant to be the subject matter experts, right? There is absolutely upside from an advertising perspective if Pirelli nail these sort of things. But the second something like this happens and it all goes wrong, and potentially dangerously so, all of the upside that they've accrued from a marketing perspective from being the exclusive tyre provider for F1 is unwound and more. It's it's a bad look. Really, really bad. They can't, I don't know, they've got to be careful here. Now, as for Bridgestone, whether this puts them, I mean, it's got to put them pole, surely. It's got to put them pole. And when I'm talking about Bridgestone, of course, the F1 tyre provider is up for procurement. First and foremost, it will be between Bridgestone and Pirelli. There's talk of Pirelli potentially withdrawing anyway. We've got other fires to fight, apparently. The knock on Bridgestone was that how would they prepare for next year? It's almost like it wouldn't be logistically possible for them to prepare. I don't think it's next year. Correct me in the chat, guys. I know that 2026 potentially could be the first year, but even that might be too close. Like, you need to prep right. You need to do your due diligence and stress test the walls to ensure that this sort of stuff doesn't happen. And that sort of stuff takes time. Pirelli, of course, supposed to have a banked set of knowledge and expertise that they should be able to leverage on to make sure that things like this don't happen. Which is why some will say that, well, okay, you've got them banged to rights now. If Pirelli, with all of their expertise, can't get this sort of stuff right, potentially dangerous ramification settings, then sack them off and just go with Bridgestone. Surely they'd be able to do a better job than this. I'll go another 8 minutes, guys, and then we'll go and watch some SQ1. What are we doing? Oh my gosh, there's a bookend to this. I don't know what's going on. This is just chaos. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. It's just bonkers, isn't it? Why do we find ourselves here each and every single time? CVD, what's going on? I thought a picture of the asphalt, it looked rough to me. The asphalt is very rough, CBD. And I think this speaks to, listen, the track. It's a different track, right? It is makeshift. And you can see, I mean, there's a video clip of somebody driving to the track, and the sand is just like, the motorway is just awash, or the highway for the North Americans is just awash with sand. They've just resurfaced the track. It's sandy. The evolution of the track is greater as far as the curve as versus your other Like it's much greater than Spa and Silverstone and Hungary because people are racing around these. There's most of the time there's a feeder formula race, right? Whether that's F2 or whatever, or a GT race, and they'll be bedding it in and accelerating that evolution process. There's none of that here. And again, we talked about it yesterday. That means that the likes of Max, the likes of Lewis, the God tier ones, Fernando Alonso, they'll be better prepped and better equipped as far as their driving style to handle this sort of qualifying session, to handle this sort of race. And that's why I was really disappointed with Lewis's big oversteer yesterday. I don't know. That was his. I really, really disappointed that George Russell finds himself ahead of Sir Lewis, Carl, Davidson, Hamilton, but I digress. Right. I suggest you go and watch these things. James Allison, I was referring to him as James Vowles yesterday. I will go 6 minutes, no more, promise. Mac on Sylvia, it's a double-edged sword, but I agree. Sylvia says we need to have more choice like the good old days. Oh, Sylvia. I don't even know if that's the answer, Sylvia. I don't think it's choice. I think I think I know what you're saying, Sylvia, as far as the pressures, but they've gone hardest, right? I think if you bring in two tyre providers, I don't know, it leads to problems. I think that can be problematic again. I don't think that's necessarily the solve. Frank, no one knew. This is breaking news. It's come out in the last couple of hours, so I am freestyling as we speak. Listen, a couple of final things before I end the stream. I'll go T-5 minutes. Go and watch James Allison. Mercedes fans around the world. He's put out an interview with Karun and Simon Lazenby, and they were asking him about the rate and the direction of development for Mercedes. First time I've heard a senior Mercedes personnel speak in a way that inspires confidence about their mission statement and objectives going forward. I will say that. Learning points, continuous development. It smacked of a team that's kind of put prior ills and poor strategic decisions behind them as far as the bloody zero pod and all that stuff, and are looking to move forward materially. I don't hate that. I don't hate that as a Mercedes fan. I don't hate that as a Lewis Hamilton fan. And I don't hate that as a fan of F1 who wants to see competition, proper competition, for first, second and third from 2024 onwards. That bodes well for me. I can't lie. Secondly, go and have a look at the press conference. The post-qualifying press conference is a chaos. And chaos. But yeah, do me a favour, smash the like each and every single time. 97 of you watching concurrently. We've gone through the nuts and bolts of this tyre chaos. I'm not even going to review it already. Basically, they're going to have to, for those of you that are just joining, they're going to have to amend this track, because Pirelli have analysed the tyres on the back of the session yesterday and they're seeing separation, and that is dangerous. Think Max Verstappen's accident that he had in Baku, even though that was tyre pressure caused, but similar sort of high-speed incidents are not acceptable in F1. They are dangerous and they are life-threatening. The solve, say Pirelli, is to bloody amend the track. Turn 12, turn 13. They're going to make sure that these guys, they're going to bring the white lines in a bit so that these guys can't use the curves, because it's the curves that's causing the issue. Peddlers, go and watch the post-quali session, the post-qualifying press conference yesterday. Chaos. Absolute chaos. I've been going back and forth with one of my mates about what this means. I've never seen Lewis Hamilton look more, not forlorn, forlorn's the wrong word, melancholy. I think something's awry between Lewis and George. There you go, I've said it. And I understand, right? I feel like Lewis is looking at George and he's just like, stop hugging the mic, bro. I'm tired of all this best Oscar goes to George Russell stuff. Like 7-time champion, mate. I know I'm mentoring you and all this stuff, but stop it now. I've had enough. And I'm watching it and I can just see George is like, when that as a good example, a case in point, they'll ask a question. So the interviewer won't necessarily put a name on the question, right? Some of them they'll pitch at Lewis. Lewis, talk to us about the mistake, the oversteer, or Lewis, talk to us about the design philosophy going forward. Have you seen any secrets per Ted Kravitz yesterday? Sometimes it will be that. But sometimes in the post-quali press conference, the interviewer won't even put a name on it. He'll say, well, talk to us about Andretti, and leave it open. Whoever picks them, and I think they do deliberately sometimes to cause a bit of chaos, to establish the dynamic between the drivers. A couple of times the interviewer did that yesterday at the post-qualifying press conference, drivers' press conference. And George instantly picked up the mic like he was the star show. Take a look at it. When George does that, have a look at Lewis's demeanour. He's not feeling that at all. Lewis is just that. And you know what the joke is? I like to do this common sense check and put myself in Lewis's, but I wouldn't be feeling that either. If we're a team, if it is team, and I'm the 7-time champion, I'm the ostensibly quicker dude, the guy with the experience. When they pitch those questions, with no name on there, Junior, you got to defer to me at least sometimes, right? You're not the leader of the team just yet. That will come, George, in a few years' time. But he's got his big boy boots on as George Russell, and I think that's jarring Lewis Hamilton. Just watch the press conference. Yeah, I might be reading into it too much, but when I put myself, rules of first principle, right, take it down to brass tacks. If I were Lewis in that position and George was just holding court, fielding all the questions like he was like some sort of Mercedes AMG Petronas team leader, I'd be like, what? You could even see when the stream cuts and the drivers did, because they're all sat on the bloody, and check out their body language on that settee as well. Max and George are bantering as if Max didn't just call George a dickhead a couple of races ago. I'm like, what? Max and George's chemistry is better than was Lewis and George's. Something's going on, fellas, I'm telling you. Toto Wolff, get ahead of that. I am telling you. That is chaos. I was looking at it, I was like, no, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Sometimes you've got to trust your instincts. Right? Maybe I am reading into it a bit of apophenia. Maybe I'm joining dots that shouldn't be connected as far as causality. A bit of heuristic or availability heuristic, maybe, and confirmation bias. But I don't know. Even the way that Lewis just cut, like when the stream ends, Lewis just jumped up and do you know what I mean? They're going back to the same place, are Lewis and George? You'd think they'd kind of walk back together. Lewis was having none of it. You see his tweet, his response to FIA Gurley as well. I don't support Andretti. He's not. Yeah. These two are going to come together on track. That train is never late. Put two alphas in the same team, and the friction, what's going on, SHD, that friction train is never late. It's going to be interesting. Exactly this, Chad. If they build a rocket ship next year, it's going to be explosive between those two Mercedes. Foster, you saw it as well. I'm not reading too deep. I've got a tendency, I can, to self-critique, read too deeply into things sometimes. But I just thought the tension was tangible, was jumping off the screen at me between George and Lewis. It's yeah, it just feels a bit, I don't know, check it out. Ignore me. Oh, what do I know? You know nothing. Jon Snow, Cameron F1. I know nothing. Go and check it out for yourself. The post-qualifying drivers' press conference. The energy between the two. The energy to say, and I'll conclude with this, to say that the energy between Max Verstappen of Red Bull and George Russell of Mercedes was better than was the energy between the Mercedes pairing of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. First of his name, Kingsley Norfolk, is chaos. That jumps off the page, right? It is noteworthy. Let's see how they go tomorrow into turn 1A. Oh, the humanity. It's going to be chaos. Right, let's go and watch some racing if we've got some. Maybe they've bloody delayed it by this point. I haven't been checking Twitter. All eyes on that 20 minute bloody due diligence qualifying session to see whether they can race around at turn 12, turn 13, the triple apex as Karun calls it, without touching those bloody curbs. Interesting to see what they do about this tyre situation as well, because I mean, tyres left, like they've not got enough tyres on deck to do 3 stops, to do SQ1, SQ2, SQ3, and then 3 stops in a race. These lot haven't got enough tyres, so they're going to be using scrubs, and that's chaos. Anyway, pedalers, let's go and watch some racing. Enjoy it today. Sprint qualifying promises to be a bit chaotic, and the sprint qualifying shootout is going to be, I don't know. It is going to be chaos anyway. I digress. Pedalers, thank you so much for watching. On your way out, please do me a favour. Smash the like, recommend to your friends, subscribe if you're not already. We'll be back post-race to do a bit of a deep dive and due diligence. Review and reaction. You guys are legends. Thank you so much. Enjoy the racing between now and then. Remember to look but never stare. See you at the top.